on Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com. And now back to your host, Michael Hemmigson.
Just a disclaimer that the opinions of this host do not reflect the opinions or beliefs of the management of this radio station or any other host. And all opinions expressed are purely mine and mind controlled. Time to go down the Kentucky rabbit hole. From Lexington to Pahrump, Nevada. From secret missions of the Omega Unit 197 to Tea Time George Bush in Texas. From fake x-rays to demon exorcising services for a fee. From SuperSoldier children in the jungles of Laos and Burma to rehashed scenes from the TV show Alias. From Universal Soldier to Ender's Game to X-Men comic books. From FUBAR to Snafu. We are going to now talk about a Southern super soldier, kickboxing trainer of Chuck Norris, and the half-brother of Stevie Ray Vaughan. Duncun O'Finionan, master assassin and crystal magic healer. I'm going to call this chapter of The Art of Dreaming, Alt.media, New Age, snake oil, selling con artist, the strange case of a lying super soldier. From Kentucky. Oh yeah! I'm doing my hillbilly dance here. Kind of like George Clooney in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Got my overalls on, my bottle of Kentucky bourbon. I couldn't help it. I needed a soundtrack there. Sort of set the mood. Okay, anyway. So, well, a couple reasons why I need to address some things. I'm sure that a number of you out there know that this person named Duncan O'Finionan and his crew have been obsessed with me and Carrie Cassidy for the past year or so. Because he's convinced I'm someone that I am not. The guy thinks, as Duncan O'Finionan, which isn't his real name, so I can't be slandering someone that doesn't exist. Anyway, the guy thinks I'm a government agent, an elite alphabet agent assassin. Oh yeah. Last week he posted something on his blog that I feel a need to address. I usually don't address these things, but the implications are fairly serious. Some were asking me about it during my show last week, but at the time I had not seen it, but only heard about it. So I couldn't address it on air because I hadn't read it. The blog post is, I guess you can call it libelous, but it's certainly psychotic. But it wasn't written by him because it's too damn literate. I mean, it was a pretty good, well-written blog post. It was written by his partner, Miranda, a.k.a. Axe, a.k.a. Allison, and whatever many other names she uses, just like Duncan. These people claim to be truth tellers and stand for the truth and the light, but they don't use their real names. You see, Duncan O'Finionan, well, whenever he writes a blog post, You can tell he's only had about a 4th grade education, which pretty much shows the way he writes and the reading level of his so-called autobiographical novel is also in the sort of 3rd, 4th grade level of English comprehension. But anyway, the Post claims that me, your host, had a hand in the demise of someone named Chris Neal, which I'm not quite sure if that's his real name either. A guy who was attacking me on his blog with false info and cocaine-infused paranoia based on some BS given to him by this internet hacker out of the Netherlands. This guy was a radio host stalker who harassed me and a number of other hosts on this station. For some reason, he had an obsessive feeling about this station as he sat in the basement of his mama's house online 24 hours a day and becoming obsessed with the little voices coming out of his computer, like my voice or Carrie Cassidy's or the Crows, or he was a number of people that he was harassing here, and other alt-medias around, alt-media personalities around the alt-media world, as they say. Anyway, this guy Chris Neal, who lived in I can't remember where he lived, somewhere up here in Oregon, Corvallis. That's right. Someone sent me that on Skype. Corvallis. Chris Neal was convinced that me, was tapping his phone, and that Michael Hemmigson, was sending drones that had mind-reading technology that were zooming around his house and reading his thoughts. Oh yeah. And he carried around this little blue, it's kind of busy out there in the street. He carried around this little blue doll statue of an Arcturian, or what people say Arcturians look like, that he thought talked to him, gave him advice and stuff like that. I was told that he was a cocaine and meth user. I don't know if that's true or not. He worked as a janitor and lived in this fantasy world where he was an Illuminati super soldier sent on secret missions to Mars. Well, you get the idea where this poor fellow's head was. Well, apparently he died last February, apparently from a gunshot wound, last February 2013. Gunshot wound to the head. I don't know if that's true or not. Apparently by suicide. I did not, at the time, even think he was a real person. I thought he was a fake persona of alters running around online, and kind of thought he was the creation of this data mining radio host stalker from the Netherlands. Someone last March sent me a link to a funeral home webpage that had this Neil guy's photo and notices of services. I think his body was flown to Indiana or Illinois, one of those, Iowa, Indiana, where he came from. Now, I brought this matter up with Lorian Fenton on air, and I don't remember if it was my show or her show or a round table or whatever, but I remember I was asking her about it on air, wondering if she knew anything about it. She said she had had some email exchanges with Chris, mostly him attacking her for putting on the SuperSoldier summits and accusing her of being Black Ops government shill, like she accused me and Carrie Cassidy and others. I brought up the matter on Duncan Dietrich's show, but Dietrich hadn't heard anything either. Because I was figuring, well, if it's a super soldier out there who is dead, the news would spread around the community because it's a close-knit group of friends and enemies. And I was curious to know if, one, the guy was real, and two, what happened. Was it suicide? I talked to, or emailed one of his hometown friends, and I don't even remember this guy's name. I should dig it up. But anyway, he said that, he told me that Chris had always had problems with depression and bipolar issues and had been in and out of mental institutions and on psychiatric medication for a long time. I also received an email from an anonymous source that was coming from Canada, actually. Anyway, that's what the IP address said. This anonymous source sent me an email no name, both an IP address in Canada. Anyway, this anonymous source told me that Chris had an altercation with his drug dealer over money that was owed, and that Chris had been moving drugs through his janitorial, maintenance engineer business. Now, I have no idea if this is true or not. This is just an anonymous email that I got that could have been from anyone wanting to say anything. However, apparently the police and the medical examiners determined the death as a suicide. Now, if it was a drug deal gone bad, why would they covered it up? Was there a CI, confidential informant, or an undercover cop in that drug ring? Or was the anonymous email just a bunch of horse duty? Most likely the latter. Now, no one wants to admit that their friend or family member committed suicide. It's a hard thing to want to admit that. I know, because it happened in my family 2 years ago, and it's still difficult for me to admit to myself that that actually happened. So sometimes, we look for another explanation. The same way these mentally ill people look to Satanists and Black Ops Cabal MK Ultra programs to blame their hallucinations and fantasies on. Now, all of a sudden, Duncan O'Finionan comes out of hiding and accuses me of having a hand in an apparent suicide of a person, Chris O'Neill, that I never met, never even had an email exchange with, other than whatever he wrote about me on his blog. And I know that he came in the Revolution Radio chat room a few times, saying a bunch of weird things. Now, I never saw him in there, but I was told that he would come in as a clandestine Chris or something like that. And anyway, he got kicked out and banned. Now, over at some blog posts, I just lost my page. My computer's acting funny. Oh no, my computer's acting funny. It must be the government. The government's trying to shut me down. Right? Every time there's a Skype problem, you always hear, the government, the CIA, the FBI, the National Reconnaissance Geospatial Office is messing with my Skype because they don't want me to talk about the Bilderbergers and the Black Op Cabal. Oh, no, it's not an internet glitch. It's not because I don't have enough RAM. It's not because there's just a bad connection on Skype. It must be the government trying to shut me up. You constantly hear that, right? Now, if the government wanted to shut your Skype down, it would just be killed. But maybe the government's messing with my computer and making me lose my place. Anyway, what is this all about? So, good old Duncan makes these accusations after not having a blog for months, and claiming that he was leaving the alt.media, and claiming that he was going home, quote unquote, and turning to the dark side and all that. All of a sudden, he's back doing interviews and seminars. That's right, seminars. What he needs is publicity and attention. Whenever these people in the alt.media New Age community need to sell a new book or bolster sales of an old one, or offering seminars and classes, they need to come up with some hot new info and intrigue and conspiracy. You see the pattern. When interest dies down in the alt.media, on an alt.media personality, or they have a new book or a video or a seminar, all of a sudden, they got this new stuff, right, that they need to hawk. And all of a sudden, they're being followed. And botched assassination attempts happen. Oh, there are plenty who pull this game. I need not say any names. But, these people, they stew a web of fantasy. They think that government shape-shifting alien assassins, almost taking them out like a dirty Sanchez in the New Mexico desert. Buy my book! They're trying to kill me for writing it! Come to my seminar and pay me $350 because it might be my last. The Black Ops Cabal, Jesuit, Mossad, CIA, NSA, ONI, Recon Office agents, and the 4F Club, and the Kiwanis, and the Mooses, and the Shriners. They're trying to kill me for writing it. Come to my seminar. Buy my book. They're gonna kill me and make it look like a suicide. And isn't it curious how all these assassination attempts are botched? How these alt-media conspiracy types manage to survive the bullets, the car crashes, the bows and arrows. And you'd think the government agents ordering these hits would hire better assassins, like professionals. I mean, didn't they train them to be the best hitmen at the CIA's facility called The Farm? The Farm, where Duncan O'Finionan claims he was trained in hand-to-hand combat and claims he trained Chuck Norris there, where his mysterious twin brother comes from, where he was a teenage super killer. So mid-year this year, Duncan drops his blog and web pages and seminars, blaming it on the government hackers trying to shut him up. He sends out a message that he's leaving the alt-media game, that the end is near, that we're all doomed, and that by fall of 2013, the world and the USA will be in civil war, chaos, and he will be running around with his bow and arrow like Hawkeye from the Avengers, saving the innocent people. Oh, that didn't happen. Then he sends out an internet message that he's turning to the dark side, that some invisible council in the spirit world, much like the Galactic Federation of Light, called the Grey Walkers, gave him a choice to choose the side of good or the side of bad. So which did he choose, good or bad? We'll find out after these messages at the top of the hour here at the Art of Dreaming, where reality has been classified top secret.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Hi, this is Bo.
And this is Rocco.
And the Bo and Rocco Show is here to offer insight into legal and lawful remedies. Our goal is to remain free and help others remain free in an ever-increasing police-like state. With the help of our guests, we try to answer questions such as what went wrong and what can we do about it.
So tune into Revolution Radio at www.freedomslips.com Wednesday nights, 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to listen to the Bo and Rocco Show.
You don't need to expect us.
We're already here.
Revolution Radio. by a simple majority in the case of purely internal affairs. Be quiet. For by a 2/3 majority in the case of more than... Be quiet. I order you to be quiet. Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left. Yes, I have. Look, it's just a flesh wound. I don't believe such a display of courage, skill, nerves, grace, stupidity. Honor you for that? You're what? Come here. What are you going to do? Bleed on me? I'm invincible. You're a duty. For Christ's sake, always come.
Roundtable Live Mondays, Friday, 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Bring your mind, bring your ideas, bring your voice. King Arthur had nothing on us. Here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. If you plan to call in and speak with one of our hosts, please turn down your radio and separate yourself from any background noise and wait for the area code to be called on before you speak. And don't forget, Revolution Radio freedomslips.com is listener supported. So stop by the homepage, freedomslips.com, visit the site support area to help support the host you're listening to's airtime. Thank you. Revolution Radio freedomslips.com, where the truth never sleeps.
Hi, I'm Jason Brentwood with Crush the News, and you're listening to Revolution Radio. And now back to the art of dreaming with Michael Hemmigson.
So, what did he choose? To join the good guys or the bad guys? Well, according to him, Duncun O'Finionan, he chose the side of the bad guys. That was the message he sent out all over the internet, that he was turning to the dark side, and anyone who had ever criticized him or opposed him or made fun of him had better watch out, because he was going to come and get them. He threatened to show up at the SuperSoldier Summit last May to take out a whole bunch of us. I was there. Some other people that he had threatened before was there. In fact, when Carrie Cassidy interviewed me last December, or was it January, one of those, he had sent a message threatening her if his name was used. And, she asked me not to use his name, even though it's a fake name. I tried to explain that to her, that it's a fake name, so what? But we didn't, except for some illusions. Although, I'm doing it now. Because I'm just talking about someone who doesn't really exist. A fictional character who lives a life of fiction and fantasy, delusion, and mental illness. So anyway, he threatens to show up at that event, but he didn't. Of course he didn't. The guy never shows up anywhere he says he's going to. Threatens people left and right. It's just all a bunch of bark and no bite. You know, the kind of person, the bully on the playground. The big, fat bully on the playground. Anyway, I was told, I don't know if this is true or not, I was told that Chris Neal was trying to break away from Duncan's influence, and that the two had an altercation, and Duncan had threatened him as well 2 weeks before he committed suicide. Now, I'm not accusing anyone of anything there. It's a strange coincidence. So, and it's, I know, it's probably not even true, so what do I know? But anything. So after saying that he's going to the dark side and leaving this world and going home, shutting down his websites and blah, 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 all of a sudden he's back again doing interviews, has a website, and a seminars. $350 for the weekend. in various cities, once a month, maybe twice a month. He needs people to sign up. He needs attention and publicity. Why not go after a radio host on the biggest non-commercial, non-controlled station out there? I'm an easy target because he has gone after me before. It drums up attention. Maybe it sells a few bucks, and he gets more attendees for his seminar. Well, let's take a look at what you get for $350 at this seminar. And you tell me, if you haven't heard this stuff before, at many of these snake oil selling new age gobbledygook seminars where they will teach you things and free your mind and tell you how to fight the reptilians. So over on his website, it says, it's on the site where you could pay your $350 via PayPal. It says, at one of our seminars, you can expect to learn how to see and feel energy. You will work with it and manipulate it for the purposes of defense, healing, and strengthening your own energy and awareness. Learn how to use crystals. And we really mean how to use them. You will find that the way we teach it, our crystals get a workout so hard that they will darken, hum, or explode. They don't just sit there and look pretty. To increase your energy field, do healing work, and for protection, etc. Learn how to recognize energetic and psychic and other kinds of attacks. There are lots of different kinds. Some people don't know about what. And we have a lot of experience with receiving and fighting off these things. For others dealing with attacks, we can help identify what kind and help you defend yourself and your loved ones. Learn what your elemental strengths are and how best to use them. Learn how to work with healing energy individually and as a group. One-on-one healing sessions with Duncan himself. Experience the force of nature. That is Duncun O'Finionan when he's working with you on your one-on-one in your own healing session. Discussion on the future and what is to come. That black line across the sun, world events, our visions, and what we see coming and what to do about it. All of these things and more will be talked about at the seminar by Duncan and Miranda in a sit-down discussion with as much Q&A as anyone wants. Please bring beer for Duncan. So please come join us at the seminar. Please, please, please send us your money. $350. Now, is $350 a lot of money? I don't know. Most of these seminars usually charge like $100 or so. And he claims that this isn't New Age. That sure sounds like New Age stuff to me. He also offers his services to exorcise demons from your home, your land, or your body for a fee. For a fee, he and his partner will remote view for you and tell your fortune and future. Find your lost puppy or kitty or that necklace. At the seminars, he will train you how to fight the reptilians, the cabal, the bad demons, and that SuperSoldier UN clones that will invade your streets, steal your kids, and tickle you to death. So he offers these seminars once or twice a month. $350 admittance fee. He says they limit these to a small group of 10 or 15. He's always saying that they're turning people away in droves. Quickly, sign up before you can't get in. Sign up. Send us your money. Quickly, quickly. Let's say his average is 13 people per seminar. At $350 a pop, that's $4,550. Subtract $1,000 for airfare, hotel, and banquet room rental. He's clearing $3,500 a month, or about $37,000 a year. Now, he lives in Kentucky, where the cost of living is lower than most places in the U.S., so $3,500 a month is pretty doable for two people. Rent or mortgage, child support, food, beer. P.T. Barnum said there's a fool born every 5 minutes. He made a lot of money fooling a lot of people. P.T. Barnum, he was a snake oil salesman, and they've always been around. That is how these New Age seminar people make their money. In the case of Duncan Dunkin' Donuts, he and his partner prey on the mentally ill and the fearful who believe they're being stalked by government agents and demons and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! That's the problem that I've discovered about this whole SuperSoldier issue. And many of you out there know that I've been fascinated by the whole SuperSoldier thing from a sociological, anthropological, and psychological, an academic standpoint. I have been writing some research stuff that I haven't published yet on the issue. There is an article forthcoming, I don't know at what point, in the Journal of Deviant Behavior that I've written from my what we call empirical experiences of observing and assessing people who claim to be super soldiers. Now, the things that we see on TV and in the movies and the video games come into play here. I don't know how many people went to see Ender's Game and came out of the theater convinced that the story is real and it's about them. Well, Duncun O'Finionan does. He's been referring to Orson Scott Card's Ender's Game books as a reflection of his childhood years. Or X-Men. There's X-Men. It's what I call the Lord of the Flies syndrome. Now, I'm not saying that the SuperSoldier phenomenon isn't real. It is. There are legit people out there who, while they were in the military, were experimented on and mind-controlled, microchipped, and even sent on secret missions that were wiped from their memories. The creation of alters is real. There are people out there, when they were put into the bug house or the day room or day room citizenship, were experimented on through secret programs. Now, I read that story from the Daily UK about that girl in the Boston hospitals who their parents believe is being forced into some sort of strange experiment on her body. So these things do happen out there. And it is happening. Mass mind control projects are underway. They're subtle in advertising and TV shows, in movies and other, pop culture media outlets. Britney Spears or Miley Cyrus, stuff like that. Though I think that the art departments and photographers and media handlers kind of play up on that whole Illuminati thing because they know that people like that people like to like the controversy of it. Let's do your photo with a hand over your eye, and everyone will say that you're referring to the Eye of Horus, and et cetera, et cetera. That's all done intentionally. Well, whether intentionally, or as an art joke, or as the way that the Illuminati has to, they're supposed to confess to what they're doing publicly, but not directly. Who knows? But it's out there. Now, unfortunately, these things tend to attract seriously mentally ill people, like roaches to a stopped-up toilet. Now, in the entire alt-media field, super soldiers and alien abductees and so on, I have categorized it into 4 kinds of people. 1, the ones who have had real experiences. 2, the ones who are trapped in their delusions and think it's happened to them. 3, the BSers who lie for profit or attention or just because they're bored. And 4, the PSYOP COINTELPRO agents who like to go out there and mix the truth with lies just to cause chaos and confusion. Duncun O'Finionan fits into category 3, the BSers who lie for profit, attention, or boredom. Now, the danger of the internet that I've determined with forums and blogs and websites, etc., is that the mentally ill people now have a soapbox other than the city park or the day room to rant and rave about their delusions. I've expanded on this before on this show and elsewhere. The mentally ill people, what they do is they get together and they reinforce their hallucinations to each other. And when they reinforce them to each other, they they start believing into this sort of a collective hallucination. You know, they're all sitting there in the date room going, oh, you're right, it happened to me. They're after all of us. Let's band together and fight the evil doctors and the Satanists and the Kabbalists and Mickey Mouse. The evils of Mickey Mouse. This unfortunately dilutes the people who have true stories. The government experiments on their bodies, Luciferian ritual abuse, and child abduction and abuse. That crap is out there. It is serious. It is dangerous. However, there's just too many loons and people needing serious, legit psychological help that are unable to admit that they're bughouse Bettys. I mean, they're insane. That's all there all is to it. They're insane. They're nuts. They're lunatics. And so they transfer their mental problems on a third party instead of believing there's something wrong with them. They believe it's the CIA, the Satanists, Walt Disney, George Bush, Obama, Loki, and Aleister Crowley, while listening to Stairway to Heaven backwards. These poor people who need help are the kind of people that Duncan O'Finionan and his ilk prey on like owls seeking out mice in the middle of the night with a full moon and a warm breeze flowing in from the hills. These mentally ill people who believe demons are in their house, but pay Duncan to get rid of them. Remote view the Dulce base or NORAD and see if they have caged my kidnapped soul and pay Duncan to find it and save it. Tarot cards, crystals, energies, all for a price, $350. 10 people a month, pays my bills and keeps me in plenty of Guinness Stout and dinners at Applebee. Now, I've received a lot of info from third parties about Duncan since his attacks on me. From researcher Anthony Forwood, who discovered the truth about Duncan's lies and had Duncan threaten his life if Anthony Forwood had put it in his book. He wrote a book on the SuperSoldier phenomenon that I have, and I haven't read it yet. It's one of these books that I need to get to. It's on my to-read list here. He's threatened others in the SuperSoldier realm. Well, the list goes on. I have a list of names here, but we won't do that. But there's something I'm going to mention that was drawn to my attention today. That apparently 2 years ago, Duncan blamed the death of his grandmother on a certain SuperSoldier connection. He was convinced that this person had put some kind of hex or something on his grandmother. And so he had his partner, Miranda, do a black magic ritual as a retaliation. Death hexes on people. Now, is that being in the good light and the good side, as they claim in their seminars? Because when you put black hexes on people like that, death hexes, and fiddle around with black magic, it comes back to you threefold. Now, if you know how to protect yourself from that stuff, you can send it back to people putting hexes on you. I know how to protect myself from that stuff. I know when someone's putting a hex on me. I know when someone's directing negative energy at me, and I block it, and it goes back to them threefold. And if you're out there listening, you know who you are, and you know what happened to you after you did that. Did you go to the hospital? Did you break a leg? Did your spouse leave you? Did you lose a lot of money on an investment? Before you put hexes and use black magic on people, you need to think about it coming back to you. Because it always will. But who knows? I don't know if that story is true. Someone told me that. It could have been just another one of Duncan's many fantasies that he's put out there. Oh, like claiming that he trained Chuck Norris how to kickbox over at the CIA's farm. Duncan can't comprehend that those Chuck Norris movies he was watching are fiction. that Chuck Norris is an actor, albeit a bad actor. Duncan claims he used to be an all-star world kickboxing champion, although there's no record of him ever being one, having won any championships, awards, or ribbons, either in his fake name or his real name. And now he's claiming that Stevie Ray Vaughan, the brilliantly talented Stevie Ray Vaughan, who mysteriously died in a weird helicopter crash in 1990, great guitar player. I heard a little side there. I remember talking to a guy years ago. This would have been like I don't remember if it was after Stevie Ray Vaughan died or before. I think it was after. So I think it was like 92, 90. No, it would have to be 93 because I was in New York. So I was over there, and I happened to meet this guy who had been a roadie for Eric Clapton and Stevie Ray Vaughan, his band. And he was telling me that, because Stevie Ray Vaughan always played this really beat up old Stratocaster. It was like a 1960s Stratocaster, really beat up but very signature-like. And he said he wasn't able to, he was trying to tune Stevie Ray's guitar. Not only was he unable to tune it, because with a Stratocaster they have those whammy bars, especially the older models always throw the guitars out of tune. That's why if you listen to Jimi Hendrix after he's done a lot of whammy bar stuff, he's always playing out of tune, which is a criticism that a lot of guitar players have always had with Hendrix, that he was often out of tune. And if you ever listen to any live shows that he does, you could see that he's constantly tuning his guitar between songs. But anyway, this guy tells me that he's trying to tune Stevie Ray Vaughan's guitar, and he can't do it, and it keeps feedbacking, and the guitar was completely out of control. He couldn't figure out how Stevie Ray played it. And then Stevie Ray goes, give me that guitar, and he was able to tune it and get it ready. So it's usually the case with musicians and their signature instruments, that other people can't seem to play them, but only that person, because that instrument becomes essentially part of their body. If you watch Jimi Hendrix play, he becomes a one with his guitar, like Jimmy. Well, I don't know if Jimmy Page could say that. Well, maybe, but and Stevie Ray Vaughan. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that little tidbit out there. You guitar players out there know exactly what I'm talking about. So anyway, Duncan here is now claiming that Stevie Ray Vaughan is his half brother. I think he would mention this before, but no, he's my half brother. He also says he has a twin brother who's in the CIA. And that, what are some of his other stories? Oh, that he was in a group of elite child assassins in Vietnam. He was on secret recon missions that he and Miranda did when they were younger. The scenarios that they've talked about, like on the Project Camelot thing, are verbatim scenes from the TV show Alias. Like, they think that, no one out there is going to have watched Alias and realize that they're completely lifting these scenes of a TV show. Well, maybe they were watching Alias and said, "Hey, they stole our lives," just like with X-Men. That happened to us. The Aliases stole our lives and made it into a TV show, right? Or how his barely literate novel rips off scenes from Andrew Vach's novels. He probably thought that no one ever read Andrew Vach's. I happen to know Andrew Vach's. And I do mean barely literate, barely readable, hackneyed and trite and predictable. I read it. I did my best to try anyway, which is why he resorted to self-publishing, because he couldn't get a real publisher to buy it. And whenever you see these alt.media types hawking their self-published books from Lulu.com or Lightning Source or Amazon's CreateSpace, know this: those books are bad. And I don't mean badass. I mean, they are badly written. They are unpublishable, because no real publisher will touch that junk. So they resort to self-publication with dreams of movie deals and fame and wealth, and it never happens. Now, in the Project Camelot interview, he claimed that a movie of his fictional life was in the works, to be out soon. He was proud of it. A movie about me! There was never any movie deal. No movie came out. No movie deal was ever in the works. No option was made. It never existed, except in his mind. But what's more disturbing is that Duncan and people like him boast about being former government assassins. They act like it's a badge of honor to have once worked for the cabal and now fighting against them. I used to work for them. Now I fight against them. Just like a comic book. Now Duncan says he's killed all kinds of people for the government. And he knows where the bodies are buried. Or his altar knows where the bodies are buried. Now if this is true, then he's a serial or mass murderer. And he has to face the crimes. But will he? Will he go to the Hague World Court and tell his story about the evil guys in the government that he killed for? Of course not, because it's fiction. If it was real, and if he was the man of honor that he claims, he would face his crimes, whether he was forced to do it or not, stand before the World Court with honor, say where all the bodies are buried so the families could have closure. Stand before the World Court and confess who sent him out on these assassin missions. I mean, there was been one interview where he claimed that he came to in a bar in Texas in the 80s, not knowing how he got there, with a gun, and George Bush was there, George Bush Jr., just recently elected the governor of Texas, and his mission was to assassinate the new governor. But he woke up from his altar, and he didn't do it. Yeah, right. Well, I bet the Secret Service would have picked him up if any of that were true, past or not. But it's fiction. It's comic book stuff. It's fodder for the fools to believe in, for the seminars, for the money, for the attention, for the money, for the attention, and pay attention to me. I used to be an assassin, and now I'm a good guy, fighting the bad guys. Like his attention-grabbing blog last week, trying to implicate me in something that I have little information about. Entertaining? Sure. Pathetic? Definitely. $350 and Duncan will save you. Save your soul. Fight the demons and remote view your lost toenail. Hurry up. Sign up. They're waiting. And that's the end of my rant. I see that we're coming up on a break here soon. Last half hour, if anyone wants to call in. A couple people tried to call in. I wasn't taking calls. I should have announced that before. You can call in, or I'll talk about some more news or something like that. Anyway, I had to address this because the accusations made on his website that I felt I needed to address. And if he was going to say those things about me, I would have to publicly say what I feel about the whole matter. My right to do so in a country of free speech. And as I said earlier, the expressions, the opinions that I have made tonight do not reflect and are not held by this radio station or its management. Solely my opinions alone, and my responsibility for those opinions alone.